mindset. Now, how many of you know how the Beatles? Have you ever heard of that group? Yeah. So we're, I don't know what generation it stops. Just teasing. The Beatles, how did they get started, Okay, they started in Liverpool.
Then they went to Hamburg.
Yeah.
Played a bunch of underground shows there.
Yeah, for a year. Just tons. Who is anybody familiar with Malcolm Gladwell? Yeah, it's great. Love reading his books. One of his books is not doing
Tipping Point.
Tipping Point. Not Tipping Point. Another one.
What was his name?
Outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. Outliers. Highly recommend all his books. Outliers, I really, probably not during the semester, you probably have tons of reading anyway, but Outliers. Talks about, have you ever heard of the 10,000 hour theory or rule? Somebody tell me what that. You're shaking your heads. Did you shake your head, yes? Tell us about the 10,000 hour.
10,000 hours of practice.
Yeah. 10,000 hours, and I'm going to add something of practice and or performance. And that's another thing we want to get out into your heads right there is performance. Practice and performance. How many of you have ever done a competition? Okay, when you do a competition, how many people win that competition? One. So why do what are the odds? The odds aren't great. Somebody in our competition for classical singer and CS music, we got 800 people in the classical divisions and 600 people in the musical theater divisions. Again, I'm not a math major, but we have 3 divisions there. So if 1 out of every 300 people are the winner, it could be depressing with that. An audition, same way. I don't know how you go to an audition. There's 50 people auditioning for one role or whatever it is. So why do we do that? Why do we compete? Why do we audition?
Provides a ton of focus to your training, and you learn a lot about yourself as an artist and about the other people who are working your level.
I love that. I like that a lot. People ask. I like to run. I just ran my 9th marathon 2 weeks ago. And people always ask, like, why do you pay to run? And, I haven't articulated it as well as you just articulated it. Why is that focus in the training? And the same type of thing with the singing right there. Any other thoughts of why do we audition? Fun? That's good. Yeah?
The thing I will say is that there's only one way to practice audition. You can't get better at it unless you put yourself in that situation.
Perfect. Yeah. And, the more you audition, the better you're going to get. The more you're prepared for future auditions, the more people see you. Casting directors, and Darin can speak to this as we introduce him in just a bit. But he's talking about, you might audition for something they might remember you for later for something else. You never know is when you're in those shipping lanes. But it's also adding to those 10,000 hours, so you're becoming an expert. So one of the things, and I lost my place here. Apologize for this. There is a venues, chapter 23. Okay, page 217. We won't read all these, just reference this. On page 217, there's venues for performers, because we think often of, I got to be, it's Met or bust, or it's Broadway or bust with that. Okay, maybe you want to get to there, but there's different avenues and there's different ways to A, make money, and B, be fulfilled as an artist. And performing, I think, from what I've seen, is singers love to sing. That's the hypothesis. Singers love to sing. And so if we put you on stage or out in front and you perform, I can feel your satisfaction, which actually gives us as an audience and me as a novice satisfaction. I feel that, and that's where I enjoy it more than the actual music, probably. It's seeing, especially young singers at the competition we do, if they just, they're just nailing their their performance, and they can just you can feel it. It's just it's a good feeling inside. And it doesn't have to be these are just various, a whole list on page 217 and 218 and 219, 52 different venues other than opera houses and theaters that you can sing at. And this has to be creative, but it has to be that mindset, that paradigm shift. And this goes back to what, if I leave you with one thing, it is think differently. It's that whole Steve Jobs thing, think different. And think of yourselves as a business of what you want to do. Now, I want to do one exercise to show you that you have it in you to have this marketing mindset. One of the things that we do is on page 136. There is a principle here called AIDA. We call it here. AIDA. Attention, interest, desire, action. Is when we are creating a flyer, when we're looking at our website, if you're putting together, especially ads, print ads, web ads, something that you want to promote, some promotion, is we try to avoid tombstone marketing. We try to avoid just name dates, who, what, when, where, how, just land right there. We try to capture their attention, get their interest, give them a desire to act, it leads into action. But AIDA. And it goes into this whole thing. You can read that whole chapter on it. But one of the things we're gonna look at page 138. There's an ad for Regina Zona, voice teacher. Okay, and the top one is more of the name date serial. Just the tombstone advertising. What is the biggest thing? The biggest word in that top one? What's the headline? What? What's in the biggest font? Her name. So that one right there, it is all about who, the student or her. Her. It's not about the customer. It's not solving their problem. It's not giving them benefit. So you think about them. Make it about them. So in the second advertisement, after working with her, her name is still there. It's still pretty big, but then the headline, it's showing the benefit of studying with her. Again, it's not the drill. The first one is selling the drill, and the second one is selling, yes, but in that analogy, the hole. You're going to have this beautiful hole with this drill. You're going to have beautiful high notes with this voice teacher. And then it goes from there. So make it a benefit. Now I want to do one exercise for this. So, okay, on page 150. Don't turn the page to 152 though. Don't be cheater. So we are on page 150. I'm going to give you just a minute. Take those same principles about making it about them, making it about the customer, and then we're going to rewrite this ad and see what we can do. So I want you to look through that ad, try to find the benefit, and rewrite it so it's about the customer. Okay? Give you a minute. Jot down maybe a note or two. Don't turn the page yet. Okay. Don't be shy again. Tell me what would you change that ad to? What is the benefit of them for the customer? Any thoughts? What in that ad? First off, in this ad, who is the ad about? School. Okay, it's not the benefit. Okay, so tell me, what benefit is the school? Look at there. What benefit is the school offering? What's your name back? Yeah, Jeremy. What if you were rewriting this ad? What benefit would you have?
Tuition and stuff.
Okay. Like it's not that, it's not rocket. Turn the page there. Right there. Full tuition stipend for 12 emerging artists. Can catch people's attention and interest. Desire to act. What's the desire to act? What gives you why would you want to pick up the phone or email and contact them? What urgency, I guess?
Not going to put you in debt and
Okay, yeah, for sure. But further on, what's the urgency though? Like, why should I call? There's only 12. It gives that action. Deadline, limited space. You got to do this. Something like that. My point is, you did that without, you've got it in you to think differently, look at things differently there, and use what you got. All right, let me do one last exercise on page 21, and we can talk more at the end as well. But I want to get to Darin. He's online, so we're get you guys singing then for questions on this. 21 is you drop a pebble in a pond and you see the ripple effect. And how that relates to marketing and business. Turn the page there to page 22. We kind of outlined it right there. Is who's got budget? Let's say you got a recital coming up and you want to invite people. So what do you think about one of those pretty huge ads on the freeway? Get a nice billboard with your picture on it. Sing. That look great. Who's got the budget? Well, okay, so we probably don't have the budget there. Who's that going to reach? Man, a lot of people. It's going to reach a lot of people who want it. A lot of people are going to see it. It's going to reach the outer part of the circle. So the principle of the law of concentric circles is start with you and move out from there. This isn't multi-level marketing. It's starting with you and who has roommates. Okay, you start with you and then invite your roommate. And then your roommates will tell other roommates, other friends, that tell their classmates. So start with you and you promote it to your classmates. And then your classmates to their friends. Let me give you an example is if I have something, I'm going to start with people I know and I might send an email to contact that I know personally, like, hey, let's start here. And like, oh, no, that doesn't work. Let's go here. That happened here for this exact class. It wasn't a direct contact. Okay. It was like I emailed Carrie and she emailed you. And right there, that connection, start with the pebble in the pond. Start with one of the things that we promote too is a house list, email list. And this is before my time, people would have the Rolodex. Yeah, I don't have a Rolodex. I've never had that. But I have an email list for sure for the business. Email contacts are huge. And just keeping that house list, people that you know, so that when you have a new video on YouTube, send it out to them. When you have what's another form of a house list now with social media?
But you're picking your amplifiers.
Yeah, exactly. And so with social media, what I mean is if you want to go that route and have that Twitter following or that Instagram following or the Facebook friends or whatever social media platform you use, with that it's let's go here to here to here to here, but using that pebble on a pond. So again, coming back, let me introduce Darin into that. But there's one thing to let you know, to arm you with, is how to develop a marketing mindset, a paradigm shift to think about them, not you. And to be honest with you, that's a good way to live life. It's thinking, you probably do. I'm not accusing anybody of not, but it's like thinking of other people first and putting their needs above yours. And it's just a fulfilling way to live. And it's the same thing in marketing. Is you think about them. You're not trying to dupe anyone. You're not trying to undercut anyone. you're providing benefit, is you sing some of the greatest music in the world. You have an amazing talents that the world could surely use, that people want. They need, yes, they want it. And so it's helping get what you want, is that marketing. So again, all these principles are in the book. I recommend it. Obviously, my dad's on the cover, so I give that disclosure. If you don't want a book, there's no pressure. At the end of the class, just give it back. Buy it for $20. With that said, we'll do Q&A after.
Sure.
So let's introduce. Is Darin here?
I'm here.
Okay, you heard my spiel, some of my spiel. So how do we see Darin here? Whoop. Okay.
Sure, computer. Ah, there I am.
Aha. Can you see us, Darin?
I can, you handsome bunch.
So this is Darin Adams, Broadway vocal coach, entrepreneur. He's a classically trained and Broadway trained singer. He's had a great career on number of shows, and I always mess it up, so I always just skip over it. But trained at. Did you graduate from Pepperdine?
No, I didn't. I graduated from Azusa Pacific and then Indiana University for a master's.
Okay. Indiana University for master's, Azusa Pacific, went to Pepperdine. He and his wife are wonderful people. I've known him for several years, and I trust him with I love bringing him wherever we go because he's going to give you great feedback and great work. So we just went over some marketing principles, and we're going to jump into the singing right now and do the Q&A at the end.
Heck yeah. Who's going to sing for me?
So who is up first?
We're going to start with Taylor, and Taylor, I'll have you introduce yourself and your piece, and I'm going to
So Darin, to tell you, we've got speakers here.
Yeah, I want to know how this is working.
So what's that?
Do you have that little adapter?
So they've all downloaded it.
You guys are working with a project of love from me for singers like you and me. And while she's setting that up, I just want to give you this app that you guys are using. The whole point of why we developed this thing is because I wanted to be able to have, like, see this speaker in this phone, this is my practice room everywhere. I live in New York City. If we go down to the Equity Building and we're camped out from morning to afternoon, waiting for a series of auditions, I can pop in a room and sing full out my stuff. And the other reason we did this is because YouTube, static recordings, things that my students come in and they set their phone down and they say, hey, can you record that for me to practice with at home? My pat answer is that's doing you a disservice. If you guys are practicing to static recordings that you don't control, you're actually learning a habit to be behind. You're learning to listen for a recording. You're learning to hold your voice back, wait, and when you know the next thing is coming, then you follow on. And you will find yourselves dragging conductors and dragging accompanists. So we built this thing. So I'm going to just play a little bit of a song. So we built this, so if I want to pause, and you, I'm holding a fermata right now. Notice these notes are still ringing. When I'm ready, there was love all around. I can bring it in when I want to. If I want to go faster, no, I never heard it at all till there was hold that note as long as I want to. That's the kind of control we were trying to give you guys. Is this app lets you start with the accompaniment. It lets you hold your note as long as you want. It lets you slow down, speed up, change key to any key. If you need to hear melody, that's the other thing, is we plunked in a melody track. So let's just say I don't know this piece well. If I plunk the melody on, hold on. I can slide to the right and get all the melody I want, or slide to the left and hear melody with accompaniment. So the whole deal is just, this is for you to go to your coaches and your teachers and your accompanists well prepared. It is not to replace them, but we actually built this so that you would have the flexibility to sort of collaborate with yourself, to collaborate the way you would with a pianist. So you can decide, I'm going to try to hold that thing out a little bit. Oh, I ran out of air. Now I'm going to try it a little shorter. I'm going to try it up a step, down a step. We see it all the time in audition rooms in New York where people come in and they have learned their piece one way, and the pianist either plays it, you know, ripping fast and they can't get their breath, or the pianist plays it slow and they're dying on long lines. We just see it all the time. So the whole point of this thing, and I'm sorry if you're an Android user, it will be out in time for Android. Right now, it's on the App Store. If you grab it, you can download it free. There's 10 sample songs, mess around, and then you can subscribe to a library, musical theater or classical. I think it's well worth it. This is probably the most valuable tool in any of my singers' little toolbox of being prepared. And we'll talk about that as we go and we teach. So thank you for using it in class. We've never done this before, but it'll be cool. So let's see how it goes.
All right. So we're really testing it out kind of blindly here with Taylor because she wasn't able to get it on her phone. So it's on mine. But Taylor, what's happening?
Well, then you get to accompany Taylor. You hold the phone and accompany her the way I accompany my students. The only thing to be aware of is the fermata is great to use, and we'll let you come in with her, but you got to know the score, because the fermata button actually, you know, it'll sort of pause and hold the notes where you are, but when you let go, it goes to the exact next note or chord in the accompaniment, whatever that happens to be. So if there's one little bass note you forgot, you'll let go and it'll go to that bass note. Anyway, full disclosure, let's just try this thing together. I can see you perfectly. And yeah, so are we going to do kind of audition cuts, full songs? How many people am I going to hear, and what are we doing?
We have 5 singers. They each have a 32-bar cut from a piece, and so we can divide that up however long we would like. I think, what are we planning on here for how much time? Yeah. So why don't we take not more than between 12 and 12 minutes or so, 10, 12 minutes per singer?
That's luxury.
Okay, great.
So, and you're singing 32-bar cuts for me, and then if you want, just go ahead and sing like you would for an audition. I may ask you questions about you and what your goals are as we get talking afterward. But I'm going to treat you very much like I would if you were. Well, you're in my New York Voice studio. I don't know, you can't really see it, but you know, welcome. You're in my New York Voice studio. I do a lot of work with Broadway singers. I have worked for casting directors and creative teams as well to make sure that singers who are in shows, if they get in trouble, I can help get them out of trouble when they're trying to sing 8 times a week. And also I'm a composer myself. So I've had the advantage of being in a lot of rooms where this is happening. And so I'd love to give you feedback just on an audition level, but then also we'll weigh in technically a little bit as we go too. So no pressure, enjoy. I'm so glad I get to work with you.
Okay, likewise. My name is Taylor Crow, and I will be singing How Long Has This Been Going On from Rosalie.
All right. Hopefully the volume is good. Here we go. Oops, it skipped on us. Yep. It's supposed to just give you a little, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a little count. There's 2 more.
I could cry salty tears. Where have I been all these years? They told out, tell me now, how long has this been going on? There were chills up my spine and some thrills I can't define. Listen, sweet, I repeat, how long has this been going on? Oh, I feel that I can melt into heaven I moved. I know how Columbus felt, finding another world. Kiss me once, then once more. What a dunce I was before. What a break for heaven's sake. How long has this been going on?
Super cute. Good job. Great. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job. Is all your whole class behind you?
Yes, the class is behind her.
Oh, awkward. Sorry about that. Well, I'll make some changes that you guys won't see, but I see them, so that's all right. Okay, beautiful. Excellent. So tell me what's the need to know statement? What do I need to know from you in this 32 bar cut? What do you need to tell me about you?
Oh my goodness. That I am really fun to work with.
Oh, you've been listening to Alex's marketing class. Now, what is your character? With you as the character, what do you need to tell me?
That I need, well, you as my scene partner, it would be that I need you more in my life.
Ah, okay. What's the question? How long has this been going on? What does that refer to you?
I've kind of thought about this a lot, and I wish I had a clear answer, but I think really what it is I keep getting these feelings for this guy, and I don't know why, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, has a really, really direct real life situation mirroring. You know what I'm trying
Right.
to say? And there's this guy that I really like, and it's so intuitive, and I don't know why exactly I like him, but I just know. And so it's kind of metaphorical, but that's what I keep feeling when I keep asking, how long has this been going on? It's more like, why is this going on?
Aha. Okay. So inside you, it's a process of discovery. This whole 32 bars, you're kind of discovering like, holy crud, I've got these feelings. Where did they come from? What is this about? So we have to see that. And when you were telling me that story just now, your voice is lovely, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But when you were telling me just now, I'm going to back up just a hair in my studio. So I only got one symmetrical gesture in the course of that, you know, that presentation of your 32 bars. So it was a very singery, you know, kind of hands here thing. Oh, look, there's me too. And so what I'm going to encourage you is when you just told that story, your hand went over here and your other hand went here and told me something. And then you kind of went like this to your heart, or your, you know, right here to your sort of core center. At one point, you're like, there's this guy I really, and this was natural to you when you were talking about it. None of those natural things actually found their way into your 32 bar audition. So I'm going to have you start again. I'll probably go like this. I'll hold my hands up if I want you to stop, because you may not hear me when you're singing. But I want to take it in a little bit in sections. The first line you sang, by the way, just as a note, the first line you sang, your face had not activated yet in the way that it did in the second line. You got this smile that kind of lit up the room. I want that from the time you breathe in before you even start singing. I want you to have the discovery in your mind of, holy moly, I just felt something. I just realized something. There is a feeling here, right? But I want that to happen on your breath in, like from before you even sing. Then I want to hear it come out of that. Okay, so let's start in that same beginning. And I know it's, you know, you'll have to find your spot in the app, and we'll talk about that later. But let's give her the same little intro and have her kind of come right in. Also, pull the tempo down just like maybe, I don't know, 5%, 10%, just a hair slower than she's going now. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Like the cry, salty tear, where have I been all these years? They don't well tell me now, how long has this been going on? There were chills up my spine.
Good. Let me stop you for a second. So in between, how long has this been going on? Then you sing, there were chills up my spine. This is the first discovery. So the first part you just sang was about, oh, I could kick myself. Like, what? I could cry over this, that I haven't been discovering this. Now you're going to try to start to notice all of the things. We need to see that happen in between. Also, when you start in there, can you make sure that your breath is connected to the energy of the story you're going to tell. Because right now, there were times I could, it's all very reserved. Like you're almost in a recording studio doing a recording session. You're live, you've got a bunch of people next to you. When you take that breath in, get me. Like capture me with, there were times, or I could cry salty tears. It's almost got to have that what the hell underneath it, okay? Let's try that.
I could cry salty tears. Where have I been all these years? Little wow, tell me now, how long has this been going on? There were chills up my spine, and some thrills I can't define. Listen, sweet, I repeat, how long has this been going on? Oh, I feel that
I'm gonna stop you for just a second. Every time you come to how long has this been going on, I want you to ask yourself in your chest voice, your belt. Can you go over to your kind of full chest there? Just do it with a cappella. Just give me how long has this been?
how long has this been going on?
Yeah, I actually prefer that because when you get to that, like, this is the what the hell underscore to it. Go to your chest. Use that nice, you got a gorgeous belt chest voice on the bottom. Use it. Like you're asking, well, how long has this been? Let's go on kind of from there. Let's just back up a hair and then we'll keep going.
All right, this will be the end of that second.
Oh, I feel that I'm bound into heaven. I'm home. I know how the love is felt, finding another world. Kiss me once, then once more. What a dance I was before.
Okay, cool. We're gonna try something. The teacher's name is, who's running the app?
Jennifer.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Jennifer, if you could find that same spot, and sometimes what I'll do is turn the melody on just as I'm getting the student back in so they're comfortable hearing where they're coming in, and then I'll just pop it back out again, that little, the little melody button with the notes there. So as you're finding a spot for her, you could leave the melody in with her just for a second and then take it back out. Okay, so back to you. I'm gonna have you do that same thing, and I'm gonna back up here because look, wait, you can see me back here, right? Okay, good. So listen. Here's what I want. I want a little bit of, not that you would do this in an audition, but can you stage yourself a bit? I want you to walk and think about it and be like, oh my gosh, if I had done this, and I want you to literally from the space where, I don't even know what that is over there, but it's like maybe a piano and a fan or something, all the way to in front of that desk towards your colleagues on the right. I want you to use that entire space. From here to the end of the piece. I won't stop you again, but what I want them to hear is I think your body is like half connected to what you're doing. I love the sound of it. In truth, I feel like I'm getting about 50%, and I'm not talking about volume. I feel like your body needs to connect so that what's the line you say right after this? Oh, what's the line?
Oh, I feel that I could melt.
Yeah, go on.
I could melt into heaven. I'm hurled.
Okay, so I want you to start your blocking. Oh, I feel that I could melt. And I want you to bring it like a little over the top, okay? We will not use this in your audition. This is for the purpose of connecting your body, okay? Go.
All right. I don't know if I'm in the right place, but okay.
Sorry, use the melody.
Oh, I feel that I could melt into heaven. I'm hurled. I know how the love is felt, finding another world. Kiss me once, then once more. What a dance I was before. What a break for heaven's sake. How long has this been going on?
Good. And stay on your chest all the way to the how long has this been going on? Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. That whole thing again?
No, just the belt. How long has?
How long has this been going on?
Do you hear how rich and beautiful that is, and the vibrato's all the way in it? We would lack in your audition if we didn't hear that you have that. That little bit you just gave me at the end would pique a whole other set of interest in you for me. You know, and that's what I'm trying to communicate to the class is like in an audition 32, it's like we got to mine for everything that you can bring to it. So you're mining your character. This is a perfect character for you. We're mining the parts of seeing you in a role. We're mining the acting skills that you can bring. I love when you did this to your head and it just made sense for a girl your age, frustrated with yourself, to do that. That to me was like bringing you to the room. So we're mining for that, but we're also mining for all of the colors and stuff. And while it was pretty the first time through, it kind of had it was all the same level of pretty. So you had the nice high mix, and then how long has this been going on? Very easy, fine mix. And then when you spoke it, how long has this been going on? It felt like a real person talking to us. So for your, you know, just on a pure audition feedback thing, what I would do is I would take everything you just did, boil it down to what you can do kind of standing in your spot, but you'll find that you'll keep half of what you just did. This I would keep. I would keep that thing where you kind of reached out with one hand and then you kind of went to your own body with your hands. And all of that stuff is totally appropriate while you're standing in one spot, auditioning that piece. The last thing I would say to you is that the smile that you bring, your smile can be brought to all level of emotion. You could say, so look, if I go, I could cry salty tears. Okay, that's the obvious, right? But I could be frustrated with myself and I could go, I could cry salty tears. And you would still believe that I'm frustrated with myself. But did you see all of my teeth, all my expression, forward placement was able to be brought. Don't cut yourself off from that just because it's like I'm singing about salty tears. No, like find the thing in that would make you salty tears. Where have I been all these years? What the hell? That's your underpin for this whole song. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Audition. Great.
All right.
Next victim.
Yes.
Hey, guys, while someone's getting up and preparing, Accompanist has this feature now called edit controls, and you can actually go through while the piece is playing. If you turn them on, you can tap markers into the piece. So like at the top of your bridge and at the top of the second chorus, you just tap and it puts a marker there and you can skip right to that marker. And then when you've skipped to that marker, it makes it easy to go back and practice over and over again a certain section. And I'll even show you, like, if I dropped a marker, like Until There Was You, I had, so that's the And There Was Music, but instead of having to hit play and go, and there, I'm already late, right? If you put it on the marker and hold fermata, then it's literally queued up that when I take my thumb off, that's exactly where it's going to play. So I could even count myself in. I could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And there was music and there. So it's all designed for singers to be able to do stuff that we have to do over and over in rehearsal. All right, enough of that commercial. Next, victim.
So why don't you stand up where you can see him on this screen and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you see me okay?
Yes.
I'm Sarah Harris, and I'm going to be singing Greenfinch and Winifred from Sweeney Todd.
Oh, wow, great.
Yep.
Ring down and drop in it, it's 4 pages, singing to me soft. Have you
Very nice. Nice. Very nice. Okay, I have a couple of comments. Your voice is beautiful. Wow, there's some talent going on out there. And where are we? Seattle?
Seattle.
Awesome. Awesome. No, you guys, you beautiful voices, the two of you that I've heard so far. This is a great piece for you because you've got that sparkly spin on top. One quick comment is anytime you're holding a pitch, like sing when you did sing, an expression I want you to keep in your mind is run to the cutoffs. And run as in keep the speed of your air moving, because you've got this gorgeous vibrato, but it will slow down on you and it'll pulse a little bit when you don't keep the air moving at full speed to your cutoff. And so what I felt is you kind of drawing back, like sing, kind of pulling back into yourself, as opposed to go, 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 off it goes, cut off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you experiencing that more as like the breath support is not consistent, or the placement of the soft palate? Like I'm not continuing to lift this placement through the.
I think your placement is actually really good. Like when you were holding sing, for example, the one that jumped out at me, your vowel was fine. Your placement was beautiful. I felt you had good lift. What I felt was that like you were either tapering off as a decrescendo or that you were just holding a note. And that is something we just don't ever want to do, is just hold a note. You know what I mean? We want to run with a note. We want to accompany a note. We want to, you know, give a note. We just don't want to hold. So I love that the top of your voice is just smack on. If you want to know what I'm looking for, when you have that first, you know, higher note where you come up into the top register, it's just stellar and it's perfect. And I bet it is that way every single time you sing it. So take that and compare it to the middle stuff. And if you don't hear it spinning at the same speed for the entire time, your breath isn't moving fast enough. And I'm not talking about breathy singing. I'm talking about your support isn't. It's like that duck, you know, that analogy of if you see a duck on the water. Yeah. So can we go back? I want to go back one more time from the start. There's also a pleading gesture in you that this piece has. It's full of pleading, which makes perfect sense. And your face is doing it actually beautifully. Your body is doing it in a way that's kind of curling you up. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not leaving you in this girl who longs to be free. You know what I mean? Uncaged. That's the whole message of this. So if anything, your body is kind of stretching against confines. That's more what I want to feel, as opposed to showing me what it is to feel bound. I want you to show me what it is to feel frustrated at being bound. Can we start that over again like that?
Is it for wages seem to be sold? Have you decided it's safer in cages, singing when you're told? I can't just many goons down the sky and talk. Nothing there sings, not even my luck. Looks never will you know when they're captive. Teach me to be more adaptive. Green, night and no blackbird, teach me how to sing. If I cannot fly.
I'm going to stop you for just 1 second. That was it right there, what I was talking about, and it just did it again. So I want you to try it. By the way, everything before that, your shoulders coming down like this, it's more than just what it did for your voice and the tone of your voice. It was brighter. It was a little more forward, a little more on the voice. But it's more what it did for you as a person, the interest of you as a person. This is very apologetic. Anytime we plead like this, it's a very rare character that's going to want to become small on stage. Even the most meek character, like I have a student who did the, you know, the little one in Sister Act who sings that wonderful Life I Never Led. Lael was my student. She was the second one on Broadway, and she did it on the tour. And we spent a lot of time exploring that character to say, when you make her small physically, it is almost counterproductive. It's very rare that, you know, a small character makes themselves small. What she actually needed was this idea that I'm meek because I'm invisible, but that doesn't mean I don't try to be seen. And it made a much more, for you, you're a much more interesting character when I see you like this than when I see you like this. Like, please, you know what I mean? Can you go, just give me those last two lines. I know it's hard with the app, but just back up a little hair, get her in with the melody. And when you do, what's the line about sing?
Teach me how to sing. If I cannot fly, let me sing.
Yeah, when you would teach me how to sing. I want to hear the NG actually spinning faster than the rest of it because you're going brrrr to the end of it, okay? It's active. Teach me how to sing. Okay, right now it's sitting. And so I know you can fix it. I know you can. You got a great technique.
So I mark either starting at the ah or right at the chorus of the green pigeon and the bird.
These are green pitch.
Okay. This would be the second before it, so let's try that. That's okay. All right, so let me turn the melody on. Learning how to do this app.
Oh, you're gonna go nuts. Once you learn it, you're never gonna put it down. And even if you play, promise.
5 seconds before.
Bird, nightingale, blackbird, teach me how to sing. If I cannot fly, let me sing.
Yes, and I actually think that when you see that last sing, let me sing, it has to have every bit of joy you could even imagine would be should you learn how to sing with that freedom. Can you just do let me sing, just a cappella? I want to see it.
Let me sing.
I buy that on your face, but more importantly, I buy that as your E vowel in that middle range of your voice. You're overspacing it. You know what I mean? Let me sing. It doesn't need operatic. Let me sing. Do you see how little space it takes? It's beautiful though. That's technical stuff. On the audition side, you probably will not bring this in a lot. Just so you know. Yeah. It's a little bit schoolish for bringing, you know, when you do go for professional auditions, but I do love where it sits in your voice. So your challenge is find something sort of contemporary to you, a role you would play kind of right now. Well, you might play Sweeney Todd right now, but a role you might play right now and then bring that voice to it. It's a beautiful voice though, beautiful instrument, really nice work. Okay, sorry, next. I'll talk less and teach more. Go ahead.
Somebody hop up. We haven't determined the order yet. There you go. Great.
That's all right. Just pounce in there, guys, and I'll talk faster. Promise. For all of the rest of you, picking repertoire, really start with the character and start with kind of knowing who you are and who you would bring to a role. I assume a lot of you are heading out of college and maybe coming here to audition or going to Chicago or maybe staying in Seattle to do it. I really would say on the repertoire picking, bring stuff into auditions that helps us see who you are as an artist, but also that you know who you would be castable as. That's kind of a thing we don't think about as much. We think about things we love to sing and that we'd sound good singing. But it is important when you get into the professional audition realm to really know kind of who you are castable as. And we can talk more about that as we go.
All right. Introduce yourself.
My name is Sophie Fernland. I'll be singing That'll Show Him from a funny thing that happened on the way to the forum.
Okay.
When I kiss him, I'll be kissing you. So I'll kiss him morning and night. That'll show him. When I hold him, I'll be holding you. So I hold him 10 times as tight.
it when it's evening and we're in our tent for two. I'll sit on his knee, get to know him intimately. That'll show him how much I really love you.
Great. Okay, get it queued back up to that same spot. Very nice. We should give her a round of applause. I hate finishing things with no round of applause. All right, so you're fighting a little allergy or cold or something because you keep coughing in between. Well, no, you sound marvelous, my dear. You sound really, really wonderful. Your oo vowel is not actually an oo vowel, so I do want to give you homework on that. So part of it in the character assessment I'm about to give you, it'll actually help you fix the oo vowels. So the way this joke lands is that she's so innocent about this. She really thinks this is going to be comforting to him, telling him, oh, I've got it. I'll do all these things. I'm going to take his shirt off and then lay with him, but I'll be thinking about you. Oh, that'll really get him. You know, it's like the more clueless you are, the more innocent you are about it, the more you give him a chance to be like, ah, what the heck? You know, and it's funny. That's the joke. So I think you need to take that a step to remember. It reminds me of like Phoebe on Friends. Did you ever watch Friends? You guys are probably too young to have watched Friends, but Phoebe, you know, the one who sings like smelly cat, smelly. She was always, her delivery was perfect because it was so dumb, and yet she was so sincere about that dumb thing she was saying that it made it fun for us. That's the character I want you to give to this one, okay? So I'm talking wide eyes. So then you do how much I really love you. Do you see this? You. I saw you. That's why your ooh vowel is really weird, because it's like shaped like this. So we need to get some real vowels around this, but the more innocent and ditzy you make her, how much I really love you, you'll sell it with being able to put that character on a little bit. The spin of your voice, the tone of your voice, it's all really beautiful. I actually like that you're presenting as a full soprano in this and not trying to kind of half belty it. You've got a really nice sense already there. I wouldn't change much about that. I would just, let's take the character a little more wide-eyed and get the ideas. Again, it's like the first singer, get the ideas in between. We need to see those ideas develop in your head before they're coming out of your mouth. Because in real life, like when you haven't memorized everything you're about to say, in real life, we see those wheels turn as you're discovering it. And that's the critical thing as a musical theater performer, is you have to recreate that every time. Eight times a week, you are getting the idea to, oh, I know how we'll get him. I'll sneak into his tent and I'll woo him. Oh, but I'll be thinking of you. That'll show him, right? Oh, and I've got a better idea. I'm going to do this. Let us see that whole thing develop. Okay, go.
When I kiss him, I'll be kissing you. So I'll kiss him morning and night. That'll show him. When I hold him, I'll be holding you. So I'll hold him 10 times as tight. That'll show him too.
Good, 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 good. See, you guys, that's how to take a note. I mean, you're all taking notes beautifully, but yes to that. I just gave you a note in the room and you took the note beautifully and you applied it beautifully. It's the in-between stuff that generates a lot of interest in what you're about to say and what you're about to sing. Can you just do that same little section for me one more time? And the only thing I'm going to ask you is, it's so funny. I spend my life telling singers, I need to see your teeth. I need to see more teeth. I want you to place forward. You're the first person in history. I'm like, when you say the word you, I do not want to see your teeth. You've got to shape an ooh. You got to get your lips around that thing. All right. So let's just do that same thing again, an ooh, and then I'll get to the next person.
When I kiss him, I'll be kissing you. So I'll kiss him morning and night. That'll show him. If I hold him, I'll be holding you. So I'll hold him 10 times as tight. That'll show him too. I shall coo, I tenderly stroke his hair. Reach that you will enjoy it.
One last note. I'm just going to give you one last note. The sassy take on "You'd Enjoy It" is funnier also if you take that to it's so innocent. You're so innocent about it. Like don't even drive a wedge by telling him you'd enjoy it. Like really just you know, that wish that you were there, you'd enjoy it. You know what I mean? Don't let it land on you how obnoxious and horrible this is for him. Just don't let it land on you at all. Just go, I will coo and tenderly stroke his hair. Do just that line if you can, and then I'll be done with you, I promise. I shall.
Probably like 35-ish.
Here, from I'll Show, I can get that. I wrote
Yeah,
that.
whatever.
Yeah, let's see,
Just as long as it's before the bridge. I shall coo.
I'll show him too.
Now make this beautiful. Amazing.
I'll coo and tenderly stroke his hair. Wish that you were there. You'd enjoy it when it's evening and we're in our tent for two. I'll sit on his knee, get to know him intimately. That'll show him how much I really love you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for an actual uval. Keep going with that. It's really good. When I say don't let it land with him, all the enthusiasm you can muster to be saying to him, you'd enjoy it. That's what I want. Like sincerity. Wish that you were there. You'd enjoy it. You know, like really just, it would be so great if you were there instead of him naked, right? Okay, Scram, next person.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Annalisa, you ready?
Hi, my name is Annalisa Brinkman, and I'll be singing Mr. Snow.
Great.
Okay, hold on a second.
Are we gonna do like a 16 from "Then I'll Kiss Him So He'll Know," or?
Absolutely can. Yes.
Let's do that. So she'll do the 16 from "Then I'll Kiss Him So He'll Know That Everything'll Be."
Yeah, that's gonna be quick.
It's a nice little audition cut. Keep that in mind. I think that's a good audition cut for you. I can try to.
Can you find it? So I've got. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I'll just find kind of timestamp where it is, and then I'll tell you. I think it's about, yeah, it's 45 seconds from the end. So if you see 45 over at the right, so go back a hair from there, like 46, 47 seconds from the end, and that'll be her cut.
Okay. So I've got the melody up, so we can see that.
Yeah, sorry, that was me playing around.
All right.
Also, oh, sorry, while you have it, take it down to like 95% or 93% or something. This tempo is a little fast, I think, for on the recording. Okay. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing.
Oh, good. And I'll kiss him so long. Everything will be as right can be. I'm living in a cottage by the sea with me. For I love that Mr. Snow.
Good job. All right, so I lied. Put the tempo back to 100. Just tap the word tempo, and it'll go to 100%. And we'll make sure and pull the melody out because it's always awkward to sing with like people banging out. Everything will be as right as. Okay, so we're gonna do that one more time. You are cute as a button, and this whole presentation works without doing anything. You know what I mean? Like just. It's almost opposite what I was pulling out of others, and this is how this goes. You know, guys, master classes are interesting for what you see of other people and go like, oh, that sounds opposite what he just said to me. But hopefully you're watching the same cues I am to say this is a song that takes no physical movement because it's all happening inside here for her. Is that it's your imagination. This is what it'll be like. Then I'll kiss him so he'll know. It's like the beauty of what's happening in your mind is almost better than what it'll be in reality. Well, surely it's better than what it'll be in reality, right? Then I mean, sorry, that sounds terrible. I'm 25 years married and I'm thrilled about my wife. So you don't get that wrong. But what I want you to describe is kind of, you get this Pollyanna picture in your mind of then everything is going to be right. It's going to be amazing. And then you start describing the real person and it's sweet because things that other people would not find attractive, you think are wonderful. So in between each of those, what is it?
Bold and daring, big, bewhiskered, overbearing.
Yeah, the young seafaring. So when you get those ideas, that young seafaring, bold and daring, big bewhiskered, every one of those needs to come out of some sense of like, oh, I love this about him. Oh, and I really love this too. And they would be like that, you know, that sleeping in late and farting on the couch. And it's like you're picking things that for the rest of us would be like, why? But to you, it's special. And that's the cute part about it. So can you keep your physicality identical, but let me see all the wheels turning. And then I wouldn't stretch too much so that it becomes operatic. Like you almost got a portamento down off some of the high notes before the last one. Darlin is fine. Portamento the hell out of that if you'd like. Before that, no portamentos down. You know, like overbearing, big bewhiskered. That's going to sound operatic. Big bewhiskered, overbearing, darling. At that point, you can get into it, okay? All right, let's go.
All right. Well.
I'll kiss him so long that everything will be as right can be. I'll live in any cottage by the sea with me, for I love that Mr. Snow. That young seafaring, bold and daring, big bewhiskered, overbearing,
Yes, if you can pull off that piano on the G every day of the week, do that. What you just did when you went up, when you got to Darling, you pulled back to mezzo piano. Beautiful choice. If you can do that every time, that's one of those little surprise moments in an audition where we're so used to people going in, here's my G. And if you can go in and know that if it's beautiful and it spins like that and it reads real to you of how sweet this guy is in your mind, that wins 100% of the time over a big, barky G. You know what I mean? 100% of the time. So find your time on the others to sort of get big and spunky and then just be swept away with how darling he is. I love that. That's a great take. Stick with that. Yeah, great.
All right.
I think I have one more before you guys run out on me. A dude.
A dude.
A dude, I know.
Wait, what's a dude doing in this class?
Okay, so
I'm so thankful.
My name is Orlando Shelley, and I'll be doing I've Been from Next to Normal.
Okay, I'm sorry, your name one more time, your first name?
Orlando.
Orlando, great, thank you.
Okay, and Orlando had trouble parking on our campus. Surprise, surprise. So we did not get a chance to check your key or your tempo. We're just starting from the beginning.
From
Well, the good thing about that in this environment is having sat in a million auditions in New York, you do not know what you're going to get. You walk in that room and they supply a pianist, but you have no idea. And I swear half the time it's dependent on mood. So, you know, as I said, I don't like to have you singing with recordings where you're having to follow what's going on. But in this particular case, it's not a terrible thing to have you just have to, you know, gel with it in an audition setting, because you will have to do that periodically.
So you want to take a guess at about there and see what Okay, all right.
Does that seem comfortable, Orlando?
Tempo and key
I
wise.
hope so, because it
Just do your thing.
you're on. So.
Right. Okay, so I backed it up about 4 or 5 seconds, and I'll keep the melody on, then I'll take it up. Here we go. You ready?
And I never had to face the world without her at my side. Now I'm strolling by beside her as the black hole opens wide. Mine is just as slow as suicide. You show every high, every low, but it's the worst we've ever known. Should hurt and how, but I can't give up now. 'Cause I've never been alone. Can never be alone. I wasn't sure what it was going to do.
I wasn't sure, and it wasn't playing the melody, so yay! Good for you.
Sorry about that. Sometimes it's a challenging medium. If you didn't get a chance to ahead of time, that's why we were trying to get people to just, you know, take a peek ahead. But let me tell you what I like very much. I like that you allow the breath to sort of come out as part of your expression. You know what I mean? Like you're singing and your breath is a part of how you're telling this story. It has the weight of the sort of exasperated, exhausted, oh my gosh, the road that you're walking. You know what I mean? So I actually think we could have more of that. You've got a beautiful tone to your voice. There's plenty of voice there. I think there's times when you could just let more of that kind of that breathy exhaustion out in it. Starting on that sort of melismatic where you hold one note it's a little tough choice for a cut in an audition. I think I almost would start at the chorus, but that said, let's do it because you had a good orientation of where you were. I don't exactly know how to tell you how to fix the end bit because I'm not super familiar with this song. So if you're willing to just kind of have it go wonky at the end, I'd love to get you back to the beginning of where you sang. And one thing I would like to see from you, aside from the more breath, is so as I'm talking to you and I'm expressing hot in this room and that the heat is part of my frustration, and there's movements like this that I want to see from you. There's more agitation to be had in the weight of what you're expressing. It's like, crap, man, you're gonna burst. You're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Can I just see more of that in your body? As even if you're singing and holding this note, especially when you do a lick, it's just got to be like, okay. Okay, let me see some of that.
Not sure. Wait, did I start too late
Oh no.
or too soon? Okay.
Yeah, and take a big 4 in if you need.
Face the world without her at my side. Now I'm strolling right beside her as the black hole opens wide. Mine is just a slower suicide. I've been here for the show, every high, every low, but it's the worst we've ever known. She's been hurt and how, but I can't give up now.
Let me stop you for 1 second. Much better. Like, Bud, even when I see you do something that is normal to you, like this, when you kind of had your hand up here, what I love is that it wasn't uncomfortable. You didn't like do it because I said to do it and put it away. You just kind of let it be part of how you were feeling and thinking. And when it was done, it was done. That's a gesture that makes sense to me. But it also kind of, it made you a person to me. And you being a person is super important. When you say I can't give up now, it's that's your moment where I think like you're here kind of to me, right? She's been hurt and how, but I can't give up now. I wanted to come forward like that's some strength in you that's like, you know what? Okay, I'm exhausted, but one thing I know I'm going to do, stick in there. Says the guy who's been married 25 years. Hey, I know how to do this. All right, so let me see that section again. Let's get him back just a hair more from where he was. And I literally, so Orlando, I literally want same thing, same expression, same everything. But when you decide you're not going to give up, I want 2 feet forward and I want it led by your breastbone. Okay? I just want to hear what it does to your voice.
So I think that this is a few seconds right before I've been here, I've been hurt, or I've been here, that place in it. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, I would go a little before that. Like maybe give him the 15, 20 seconds back. Just so he has time to get his brain in it.
All right, this is about where you came in the first time. So.
I never had to face the world without her at my side. Now I'm strolling right beside her as the black hole opens wide. Mine is just a slower suicide.
Sorry, can I have you just same thing exactly again? Because you just got stuck. Slower suicide. I'm standing holding a ball of air. You know what I mean? It's, think about what you're saying. Oh my God, mine is just a slower suicide. Holy shit. That's like, yeah, give me that feeling that you have right now. Okay, go ahead, same thing.
Okay.
And I never had to face the world without her at my side. Now I'm strolling right beside her as the black hole opens wide. Mine is just a slower suicide. Here for the show, every high, every low, but it's the worst we've ever known. She's been hurt and how, but I can't give up now. 'Cause I've never been alone. I can never be alone.
Yes. 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 Okay, Bud. So that hopefully everyone in the room can catch what just happened there as well. I don't know because you're off to the side and half behind him, but it's becomes so compelling. Your voice opening up on that, not giving up. That's what has to drive you. And I don't care if you're in a 5-foot room auditioning this thing, you've got to give your body a chance to get in like that, you know, to really get in like that, because it's powerful. It gave me the chills on my arms when that happens from you. So, I mean, all you guys, so great, and thank you. All you guys, yay for taking notes, like beautifully taking notes. That's maybe one of the greatest things you can do for yourself when you start working with, and many of you probably are working already with professional directors and stuff, but the thing that we on creative teams appreciate immensely is a willingness to just try stuff. Just like take that we're watching you from outside. So if you're in a callback and a music director says, I want to try this a whole step up and I want to see if you can belt it, you know, the answer isn't, well, I only belt A flats and voice less. It's like the answer is, hey, let's give it a go. And if you crack like a mother right in the middle of it, it doesn't matter because you're willing to give it a shot. And then it's on them for asking you to do it a whole step up belted. But, you know, if you're willing to do that, to say, hey, I'm going to try it. I'm actually going to take a note on a gesture. I'm going to walk forward. I'm going to do the things I'm asked to do and see if I can make them mine. That goes a long way for you in someone like me wanting to work with you, because we know, like, hey, that's someone I can work with. And, you know, as Alex says, if I can work with you for 10 minutes in that environment, I know how good you're going to be to work with, you know, for 8 weeks or whatever during rehearsals. So I feel on every single one of you that's saying tonight, it's like, yeah, you guys have that. You're willing to work. So you're getting great training where you are. Love hearing your voices. Very talented group. And thank you for letting me just speak into it a little bit. So
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Your video is spotty on us, but your audio is still there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Oh, in fact.
We were just, our office guy was going to just turn it on and turn it back.
Oh, great.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, I was walking out of my office so that maybe it would get better out here. All right. So anyways, did I hear everybody that I was supposed to hear?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that you both have some time for some questions.
Yeah. For Darin, are you still have a few minutes?
I for sure do. I was just worried they were going to grab backpacks and scoot. I'm wandering around my house. I'll stop doing that.
No, we still have for our class session here. We still have 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh gosh, we could have sang way more, but good thing we have time for questions. All right.
I wrote down a bunch, but I want to give these guys a chance to ask either of you things that will help them out in their experience. So
Great.
who has stuff?
Please.
Can you tell your story of how you got to doing work on Broadway?
Yeah, it's because it's here. There we go. It's always a different story. The work that I do here is not at all the work I set out to do here. I was an opera major undergrad. I was absolutely 100% positive I would not ever teach, and I would sing on the great opera house stages of the world, and that would be that. And so, you know, thankfully I had a teacher early on who said, that's all fine and good, but can we just train for everything? So Giorgio Tozzi, who was a very famous bass baritone, who I was fortunate enough in my undergrad, he was teaching privately near where I was in school, and he took me on as a student, and he was still directing opera, so I got to go sing under him a lot. And his main thing was, this was a guy who sang at the Met, but also, if you watch the movie of South Pacific, he's the voice of Emile. So the Some Enchanted Evening and This Nearly Was Mine, that's Giorgio. And you'll see, he was one of the first artists to get actual credit on the album for singing without being filmed. Rossano Brazzi mouthed it and Giorgio sang it. But, you know, so here was a guy who believed you should sing musical theater like musical theater. You should sing opera if you want to sing opera, but you should also be able to conduct a bell choir or a choir or an orchestra. And so I just sort of admired him so much that I was willing to try to learn everything. And so the route to get here has been the weirdest thing in the world. I mean, my wife and I sang on cruise ships for 3 years, traveling all over the world. Here, I'll show you guys. This is kind of fun because this is literally over here. This map has lines all over it, and it's everywhere in the world we got to go because we were willing. Instead of singing the great opera stages, my wife got this audition for a cruise ship, and we were willing to go, hey, what the heck? You know, I'll put on a Tin Man suit and do a goofy production show of Wizard of Oz, but I get on a ship and sing and be paid to be an artist. And so we did weird jobs, cruise ships, church music director jobs. Teaching was always something I loved doing and never knew I would. So
let me pause you. Let me pause you super quick. Is we talked about before you joined us, we talked about getting in the shipping lanes, talking about performing at venues just like that. And that's a perfect example of these non-traditional places. And in fact, if you look on page 243 in the book, and 244 is a picture of Darin.
Hey.
Right there. So
that's my beautiful wife, you guys. That's the better half of the team.
It's the get the gig as headliner on a cruise ship. How cool is that? Yeah, that's his story. Is part of that.
And people poo-pooed, you know, some of these different decisions, like, I don't want to go on a cruise ship, I don't want to do that. You know, we said no to a lot of tours because we wanted to be together, my wife and I, and so we kind of made choices to prioritize the things that really meant the most in our lives. And I think that's kind of the key. More than how do you get to do what you do for a living is how have we fortunately been able to spend 30 years in business doing it at all, you know, getting to wake up and be like, oh, I'm a musician today. I get to teach a bunch of young people in Seattle over Skype. Like, how cool is that? And so I really think that I would encourage, just like the book, I mean, that's why this class is so great. And Mark, who wrote the book, is so great because he really encourages find opportunities. If you love doing what you do, then no opportunity is wasted. Sherry and I went to retirement communities and we put together a little act, you know, and we would sing songs from movies and shows and talk about our life. I mean, we had nothing to talk about. We were 23 years old, but we just did it and it was a blast. And we learned so much because we were on stage constantly. We went to Shipshewana, Indiana, in the middle of Amish country and did a gig at a little theater there where we stayed, you know, for a couple of weeks doing shows for people in Amish country, bizarre stuff. But all of it works its way. And now.
Now what?
And you.
We got you frozen.
So that's my big.
We're frozen.
Now we're back.
Uh-oh.
Back. Okay, we're back.
I hope I didn't freeze with one of these faces.
We missed your conclusion. What was it?
You said, and now, and then you froze.
Oh, I said now we get to live and work in New York, and we've been here 11 years, and we get to work with people that are really, really, you know, wonderful to work with, top industry people. But it's because we've been around so long doing all these goofy jobs that we've built real relationships, and we just love people and people love working with us. And that's really how we do what we do now, is strictly that. There's a reason Alex, you know, lets me come teach you in his gig out there in Seattle. It's because we enjoy working together, and I show up when he asks me to do it, and I do the best job I can. So that's the underlying thing to get there, quote unquote, get there, is to realize there may not be where you think it is, and still be willing to go and see where there can take you, because it might be different, but really fun.
I'm going to try to plug that speaker into you.
When you're working in performance, how much of success is dependent upon who you know?
A lot. That's the short answer. And, you know, I would say a lot of people wish that weren't the case. They'll sort of wish that away, like, oh, it should be your pure talent. But the truth is, we don't cast people. You cast people that you're working with. And I've known some that are a complete pain in the butt to work with, and I wouldn't wish them on anyone. So when you say who you know, it's more important than that. It's who you have developed a positive rapport with. It's who enjoys working with you. That's more, it's not who you know, because you can know everybody and be a miserable stink, and you're not going to work. But if you are one that people enjoy working with, if you can show up and be be an associate to a director where you're just taking notes and you're working that, but you are a great colleague. The next time you're auditioning and that guy recognizes you, it's not important that he recognizes you. It's that you walk in the room and the 6 people sitting with him see him go, oh my gosh, hey, Darin, it's so good to see you again. That goes a long, long way. And so, yes, it's important, fortunately, and that's why you have to go out and do stuff. You have to do little cruddy showcases and readings and things because you need to get to know people. Otherwise, you are relying purely on the talent when you walk in the room, and 9 times out of 10, that isn't quite enough. Love to tell you it is, but it's not.
I'm studying musical theater and computer science, and I was kind of curious, like, what had to do with the app companies or the app that we were just using today.
Yes, you're the smartest of all of us. Stick with that double major, thank goodness. Because then your side gigs won't pay $100 a week like my early side gigs did. No, the app has been a labor of love that goes all the way back to a software program called Maestro years and years ago. I am not a software guy at all, but I saw a problem. I play, but I don't play really well. And I could not play the repertoire that I needed to play to sing full out. I could not pay $50 every time I wanted to sing full out with accompaniment. So I learned about a technology called MIDI years ago. It's an old technology, but it lets you translate notes and musical data basically into computer data. And that's why it can transpose without sounding wonky. That's why it can go fast and slow without changing. Like you've all done those programs where you speed it up and it sounds weird and you slow it down. So we found that technology, and then I was like a dog on a bone. 3 different versions of this thing. Teachers saying, I never will have a computer in my teaching studio ever. And in schools early on in the late 90s saying, why would we put internet into voice teachers' studios? That doesn't even make sense. And so it was just like a dog on a bone going, someday this will take. You know, people are going to need a way to rehearse, and you just can't do it with recordings that don't move. That's my, so it was just kind of one underlying philosophy that if something moved and if it would do what I need it to do for my practice, then eventually that's what other teachers would need. And you know, it's cool because we've had almost 20,000 downloads of the thing now, and it's just kind of one of these. I would have done it if I knew, you know, if I knew 10 people were going to do it. But it's cool that it's almost feeding my family as we also write musicals and sing.
I will say this, it's a great example. Darin, one of the things I told them also at the start was if there was one thing that I wanted them to walk away with the class from my end was just developing that marketing mindset and that paradigm shift. And Darin encapsulates that where there was a need. It's that robot show from Disney, the Find a Need, Fill a Need. And that's what, you know, you're doing with your voice, but also in other areas is find out what people need, what they want, and fill that. And when you can do it with stuff that you love, you're one of the luckiest people in the world.
Yes.
Then, you know, just quite frankly, not many people get to do what they love. And so love what you do. It's a blessing. And
you know, Alex, it's interesting you say that too, because I think both Alex and I have this same philosophy. I so respect and admire the business he's built, and it is really all about singers. But if someone asked me about CS Music and Alex, what I would say is he and his family care about singers. They love singers. When they're trying to fill a need or solve a problem, their motivation is to solve a problem for singers, to help singers lead a more full life and career. That's why it's a success. If their goal was to sell singers a bunch of stuff and make a bunch of money, I would not be interested in working with them at all. And I think he knows the same thing about me, is that the whole goal of this thing was never, let's see if I can this number of subscribers, just retire and sing wherever I want. The goal was, if I could just help some kid in, you know, Alaska who has no access
to an accompanist. Or like there's a lady that uses the app in a Parkinson's rehabilitation place, which means the world to me. Like I get those stories and I'm like, oh, that's right. I do this because I actually love people and I want them to have a great experience singing. Therefore, it's fulfilling, you know, if it doesn't make a lot of money or if it doesn't make a lot of money, it's fulfilling either way. And every time we've approached a job like that, we've had a ball. When everyone else was complaining about certain tours or theaters or ships that we were on, we found ourselves going, oh my gosh, we're meeting people from all over the world. We were in Paris 2 days ago, and now we're heading to St. Petersburg, Russia. We're the luckiest people in the world. And we loved it because we loved the people we were meeting and the stories we were learning and hearing. And that's what it's about. If it's about making your Broadway debut, I would strongly encourage you to do something else now, because, you know, 1 in a million of us makes that debut. It's not to poo-poo the dream. It's just how much richer will it be if that's just a little part of the dream, just a little part. Like I'd love to make a Broadway debut, but you know what? If I get to wake up and sing several times a week and maybe someone even pays me for it, that's a win.
Jennifer, do you have some of yours?
Yeah, you've said a little bit about this, but I'd love the genre of musical theater has just kept adding and expanding, and so now there's just so many different types of voices out there just within the singular genre, even without going crossover into classical realms. What would you say about the value, particularly with students that are earlier in their training, of broadening versus specializing, and what hybrid areas are out there that you recommend that they are aware of?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And you say it beautifully, because broadening versus specializing, unless you are literally the best, one of the very best in the world at that specialty you've got your eye on, broaden. I mean, that is the bottom line. If you want to work as a musician, and I tell this to people all the time, I had a Japanese student in here. She's over from Japan for a few months. Beautiful operatic voice. Turns out she belts her face off, and she's young and she dances and she's just a little small person. And I'm like, oh my gosh, every pop rock musical is going to give you a shot because she's, you know, ethnically diverse and interesting and can belt. Well, if she just was like, no, I'm going to be a coloratura soprano and that's what I sing, those are my roles, she would miss, you know, a whole percentage of potential work that she can do. And if she came in and said, but I don't like doing that, like I don't like belting, I don't like the music, I either want to sing coloratura soprano or I don't want to do anything and I'll go work, you know, as an accountant or whatever, that would be different. But I saw in her a passion for music. So broaden is kind of the name of the game, short of, and I will say this, short of, if you have a very well-trained operatic instrument and your goal is to sing opera full-time, you do have to be a little bit careful. It works one direction beautifully, crossover. It does not work the other direction quite so beautifully. I was in Opera San Jose in California with a tenor, and we were both singing about 4 operas a year at that company, and he went off to do Phantom. We both got offered the part. Actually, it was I was to understudy Raoul and sing in the ensemble. At the time, I didn't want to do ensemble. I wanted to do roles. Now I've learned since, if someone offers you a Broadway ensemble job, take it. It's not like opera. You definitely can work your way from ensemble to leads in Broadway. That's a side lesson. But point being, Ray went off and did Phantom for 6 months, and he came back to the opera company and they couldn't use him anymore. They had switched him to Piangi, you know, which is kind of a crazy operatic role. It's not sung with the most healthy voice. And then he covered Phantom. So he was swapping Piangi to Phantom back and forth. And when he came back, his operatic voice his instrument was so goofed up that he really couldn't get the jobs he wanted anymore. So I will caution that if you have a special and unique operatic voice, be careful singing Next to Normal or Dear Evan Hansen or, you know, Hamilton or whatever. Not everybody is meant to sing that stuff. But if you can broaden, if you have a good coach or teacher who can say, you know what, you can belt and you can belt healthy. Kristen Chenoweth is a beautiful example. What a great coloratura soprano voice, but fun belt. She can do so much stuff with it. Watch her Charlie Brown stuff and then watch her Wicked stuff. It's totally different. And that broadening has allowed her to work in so many environments and made her marketable. As a contrast to that, Kelly O'Hara does what Kelly does. She sings beautifully in a mix and soprano, and no one's going to ask her to belt. She specialized, and it worked out well for her. She's in every Lincoln Center show and sometimes at the Met. So you can't say don't specialize, but you better be Kelly if you're going to do it, because if you're not, it's going to be a little tough to work.
Any other burning questions from you all? So I'd love to give you a chance to talk about. I don't think that a lot of people were familiar that Classical Singer magazine and Classical Singer online was actually even a resource that they might go out and use. And since we're talking about crossover, can you talk about the musical theater part of that?
Yeah. So Classical Singer magazine has, like I said, we've been around for 30 plus years with it. But we have the online, not the version of it, but it's online, and we have resources for musical theater listings. We list audition listings for both classical and musical theater. And if you go online with that form that we filled out, we give you a free access, and you can go find. We list all the jobs throughout the world. We go and search. We have hundreds of musical theater opportunities there. Paid positions and volunteer positions, competitions. We have our own competition that we do for college-age singers for musical theater, and they come to our convention. People like Darin come and do classes, and we have it's a really neat experience. We're going to be in Chicago this year. But online, we have blogs and articles with musical theater emphasis, but all those listings are online too, so that you can, like we said, getting into the shipping lanes, finding unique opportunities. We try to list them for you, and so that you can go online and find it. So those are some of the opportunities. And then we do classes like this throughout the year, and we record and put them online. And so as you can, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll see opportunities that arise. But all the online resources are at we want you to use it. You just have to log in and start using it. The online resources are free for you to go online there and use.
Are you both? I have a question over email from Marilyn, who sang for you, Darin, and needed to leave early. But are you available to coach or to communicate remotely or ask some questions after this workshop is done?
That's so funny. I have never, this is new, this teaching online. I stay pretty busy with my studio here in New York, but it's fun and I'm having a ball. And with Alex, sort of together with CS, I think we're exploring what we can offer to people. It's not outside the realm of possibility to do that. I'll just have her sort of stay in touch with Alex, and he can probably help facilitate something.
Well, I really want to thank you both, and especially for doing this with all this technology and helping us navigate this technology. I'm sure it's good for us in more ways than just the music and marketing that we got today. So we're at the end of our session, and just thank you so much, both of you.
Okay. Darin, thank you. We will disconnect. Thanks, Darin.
All right, have a good night over on the East Coast.